Michael from Seattle, Washington. Thoughts on the On3 article and Lincoln Riley saying USC has entered a championship window? Well, he's right. That's my thoughts on the On3 article quoting Lincoln Riley as saying USC has entered a championship window. He's right. By that, I mean, I look at USC and I agree that this is the first year since Lincoln Riley's been there that I feel comfortable at least whispering their name in national championship conversations. I haven't done it before. I haven't even thought they're in the conversation. I have thought that it was next to impossible for them to win a national championship in his first several seasons there. This year, it's merely not so likely that they would win it. But it's well within the range of outcomes if everything clicks for them, and I've never said that before. So I guess by the technical letter of the law, I agree with Lincoln Riley that they're entering a playoff window. Now, let's address most people watching this right now. It's a scientific fact. Most people outside of USC dislike Lincoln Riley. He's just become a very polarizing guy, whatever. Secondly, many to most of you have decided in your own heart Lincoln Riley will never win a national championship. Some of you decided that even when he was at Oklahoma. I'm not here to try and change your mind, but the question was to me. And so I do agree that they have just now entered into a window. I don't know how long the window is going to be. In fact, I think if he doesn't get the job done this year, he could be out after this year. So like I'm sitting here totally agreeing with Lincoln Riley, but also saying you better be intentional with your words. And I'll remind you why in a second. But you could issue a whole list of follow-up questions to this. I'll do it right now. I'm telling you, yeah, I do think it's accurate that Lincoln says they're entering a championship window this year. But I'd follow it up with, it should never have taken this long. There's no excuse for it to have taken this long. I know they had a rebuild on their hands. In the modern era of college football, at USC or a list of about 10 other programs, you're never going to sell me that it takes over half a decade for a rebuild to happen. So he made poor decisions at the outset, staffing-wise. He paid for them. To his credit, he rectified them. To USC's credit, I would say enough to their credit, and to the fan base's credit, they've kind of afforded him the length of rope to do that. Not every fan base would. Quick 5-second timeout. Check and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. It keeps it free. We love you. All right, back to the show. Now's the time. And you may be listening, and you may be down on USC, and you're like, wait a second, so now they're entering a window to win a championship? What changed? Well, two things changed. Number one, the program identity changed, and that's really 2 years old now. Number two, the talent roster changed. They've never had a talent roster under Lincoln that is remotely comparable to this. This may be one of the 10 best rosters in the country, by the way. Like, there's some player personnel people I've talked to, not at USC, who really do think the roster USC puts on the field this year, top 10, top 12, like there's some folks who are really high. Now, granted, these same folks are not necessarily as sold that USC will follow through on it, but that remains to be seen for everybody any year. The point is, they hadn't even been in the ballpark until this year under him. But as sure as I agree with Lincoln Riley that, yes, they're entering a window where they theoretically could compete for a national championship, I would advise Lincoln Riley to remember Hugh Freeze. Because Hugh Freeze last year was very outspoken at SEC Media Days about the fact that he believed it was totally fair for everyone to expect Auburn to compete for the SEC championship last year. Now, I appreciate that. I love when guys are honest. We call it the Bryant Haynes philosophy around here. Whether I agree with you or not, please just be honest. Share your thoughts. We won't hold it against you, but the public will, and your fan base will. Hugh Freeze came out and said, you ought to expect us to play for the SEC title. Well, then you quickly dropped out of SEC title contention and they fired you midway through the season. Likewise, Lincoln Riley can talk about being in a window to win a national title this year. He should feel that way. I agree with him that those are the state of affairs out there. But all that means is if you pull up to the finish line with another 8-4, it's not good enough. And they're going to take action out there, and it will be deserved. So, hey, I'm sitting here as someone who hasn't sold my Lincoln Riley stock yet. I haven't sold my USC Lincoln Riley stock. So if anything, I'm pulling for him. But I do agree with him, so that answers the question. FanDuel has odds on that, you know. FanDuel has odds on a lot of things. In fact, if you go and peruse FanDuel right now, you'll find a whole lot of NFL draft props. Day after tomorrow, that thing goes down live in Pittsburgh. We'll be over on Buzzer, by the way, doing full draft casts on that. BZZR for those unfamiliar. And you probably are because it's brand new. So Jesse's been lighting this stuff up. Producer Jesse's very big on NFL draft props. We've been sort of internalizing our own and waiting for FanDuel to release them. Well, now more and more by the hour, it seems, FanDuel's putting out a lot of NFL draft props. Can you imagine telling people when they used to have the draft in like hotel ballrooms back in the day, that there's going to come a day that not only do they shut down an entire major American city every year to host the draft, which is a 3-night event, but also there are going to be these things called online sports books that are going to be legal that you could live bet the draft on. Crazy. Then tell them about the portal and NIL and really blow their minds. FanDuel is not involved with either of the latter two things I just mentioned, but they are involved with the NFL draft, and you can go see what I'm talking about over there. Or just bet the NBA playoffs. I know I do. I don't. But I will take a look at a lot of this NFL draft stuff. We expanded the Pate State store, and that's okay. That's not hypocritical at all. There are way more items. And as you know, the more items that we put in the store at patestateMaterial.com, the more valuable each of those items becomes. Because that's how it works. That's how I've been told it works. See, the more that you expand the playoff, the more valuable the regular season is because more people have access. So the more we expand this store, the more our viewers mean to us because more of them have access to this. Oh, you're shaking your head, Jesse. That makes no sense? Of course it doesn't, because it never makes sense. I would just humbly suggest if you want a t-shirt, go check out PateStateMaterial.com.